I want to show, like in the street fighting, I still use a lot of different martial arts techniques. I'm just going to show the stances that you need to learn. My little dog down there, Eddie. The stances you need to learn, and if I can get it in before the battery dies, the strikes that we're using a sandbag. These are the strikes you're going to use. Well, there's a bunch of strikes, but in the beginning you're just going to use 9, just like on the sandbag. The first one I call a neutral stance. You stand like this. It's kind of like from the Wing Chun system, but other systems too. But your feet go out here, feet go out, back in. And it's kind of like if you want to learn to do it right, put a tennis ball or one of the cans I'm going to show you how to use later between your legs. If it falls, and you know you're getting out of your stance. But when you first start out, just do maybe, if you can do a minute, that's fine. If you can do 30 seconds, that's fine. But even though you might get a guy that can squat 600 pounds, this stance, his legs will be shaking when you finish because you're using different muscles. And this stance here is going to, well, my camera on my video just went out. But anyway, I'm going to continue on this one here. This stance here is to get you prepared for other stances. It'll make your legs, because one of the stances I use is like this. But most of my weight is on this leg, and it's barely, maybe 20%, 15%. It depends on what the situation is. But you really can't get to this stance. You can, but your leg is going to be really weak until you can kind of get here. When you can do 5 minutes of this without your legs shaking like that, then you're ready for the next one. Okay, so I just call this a neutral stance, okay? And actually, I do a lot of fighting from this position because we're going to learn how to turn, shift, stuff like that. Okay, so this is the first one. This is the second one. It's going to be on the right and left. But you can't get to this one until you do 5 minutes of the other one. Maybe 3 minutes, okay, something like that. But if you can do a minute like this and your legs aren't feeling really weak, those muscles that you use to do the stance are working pretty good for you. But you want to build up to a couple minutes, at least 3, just like this without coming back up. While you're doing these exercises, if you get, say you do a minute here and your legs start getting tired, you can come up. There's no big deal. Okay, because you do fight from this position here. But if you're doing this and your legs get tired, come up. Don't get to the point where your legs are shaking like this. Especially if you got to drive somewhere, then your foot will be shaking too. Oh, and the glasses, I'm outside and my eyes are really sensitive. I took several surgeries on my eyes, so I'm not trying to be cool. But anyway, don't know how long I'm going to last. Mosquitoes out here are not too bad. Not too bad, they are bad. Okay, so neutral stance. Okay. And since this left leg is out, this is called left. This is your right. Front stance, okay? Left, but the left foot is out. Right, the right foot's out. So from here. Okay, so from this stance here, like I said, it'll build up to the other ones. Okay, the second stance is horse stance. And don't exaggerate where you're down like this, where you got to put T on top of your legs and make sure you don't spill it. Just a horse stance, and this just to kind of strengthen your legs for some other things we're going to be doing. So horse stance, and if you want to take it lower, that's fine too. This is kind of like your foundation. Everybody does a horse stance. Well, not everybody, but okay. From the neutral stance, just bring it out a little bit further. Horse stance. Next one is the bow and arrow stance. This foot is turned sideways. This foot is pointing that way, and your body is turning that way. You're facing this way, okay? Horse stance. And your knee is probably about where you can look down and see your toe, kind of like right over your knee. And I'm not that guy that believes it's bad for you to put your knee over your toe. That's me. Because you walk down the stairs and your knee goes in front of your toe every time. Okay, so this is like a bow and arrow stance. And there's other names for it, front stance, stuff like that. But this is a bow and arrow stance. Both sides. Maybe about a minute apiece. This one you should be able to do for a minute because it's not that bad. The back leg is straight, okay? And that foot you're pushing off the ground. Need some oil in his wheels. you're pushing off the ground, which you'll learn later, and you're facing this way, okay? And practice switching back and forth. Like after you do your minute like this, you can practice maybe for a minute, switching back and forth. And you don't want your chest here, you want to be facing this way here. So neutral stance, get there this way, okay? Horse stance, a little wider. Bow and arrow stance. Bow and arrow stance. This is kind of like a cat stance. Like 20% of the weight's on your front foot and your back leg is kind of big. This is kind of like a cat stance, but the stance I'm going to do now is not a cat stance, but similar. So from the neutral stance, you're going to jump this way. From here, this foot is planted here, and this foot is on your toe, okay? Maybe 20%, you can pick it up real fast. This is gonna come up here, hand in front of your stomach. So from the neutral stance, real slow, I jumped. I'm on my toe, but at the same time, this comes up, this comes in front of your stomach, or your solar plex, all right? So if you're facing somebody this way, from the neutral stance, you're just gonna jump. And this is gonna go up, just kind of like this, on this side, in front of you, but you're turning and you're jumping. Looking at your opponent. So from here, neutral stance. Here, just like that. And it goes both sides. Okay? Here, hop. 20%. You want to be able to pick this foot up real fast. Because what I'm showing is causing damage. It's not, you're not inside of a ring abiding by rules and regulations, stuff like that. Be disqualified if you do this, do that. This basic move is kind of like to dislocate somebody's knee real fast. Whatever you do here, you hop this way, but that knee, that foot is coming up here because you're going to dislocate the knee, okay? Which we'll get into later. Okay, so neutral stance. From here, practice this. If you can do a minute, that's fine. And your hips are tucked in, okay? Just like in Tai Chi, the hips are trying to push forward. And there's a reason for that. So neutral stance, bring it out more. Semi-horse stance, we'll call it. Bow and arrow stance. That back foot is facing that way, like an L. Front. Chest is facing this way. Right bow and arrow stance. Why? Because your foot is right. Right, left, bow and arrow stance. This stance. And this is like a hop, but you don't just have to hop. It depends, but right now we're learning to hop. You can just turn here. Okay? Turn here. Because basically this is a move you'll learn later on. It's you're either dislocating somebody's knee or trying to fracture their instep. Okay, so we got 1, 2, second stance, 3, 4. I think I did the horse stance, didn't I? I'm not sure. Okay, so then just regular, let's say, you can say the boxing stance. Everybody's boxing stance is different. But if you're strong right-handed, then your left foot is going to be out. And your right foot is going to be back because that's when you're going to turn into a power punch. So basic boxing or defensive stance, okay? Blading stance, whatever you want to call it. Some people turn a little bit more bladed than normal. And some fight, I think like Tyson, he fights straight on like this, kind of like from a neutral stance, but from a boxer stance. So, but basically I think this is the 5th stance. From a maybe defensive boxing, self-defense type stance, left foot is out, right foot is back if you're right-handed, because your strong hand is right here. Your weaker hand, I don't want to say weaker, but less dominant hand is in front of you, okay? Because you want to throw that power punch. So this is your stance right here, okay? Then you go to the other side, the same thing. Then you become a southpaw. You have to learn to hit with power with your left hand too. So this is, I'm right-handed, so I can consider this my power hand, but you can also do the same thing with your left hand if you practice, okay? So I think those are gonna be the 5 stances. Before my battery runs out on this thing, I'm gonna show the strikes on the sandbag.